Hello, good morning to everyone. Everyone and everyone and every no one. Thank you very much joining me and nobody. Because today we're talking about no body. This Buddhist physical culture is really no body. So so good morning. And due to time constraint and due to having no time, today there will be nothing on, and especially no meditation, because there's no meditator, because his body is not himself, but there will be talk about nobody. So so maybe you won't hear me either. So if you don't hear me, that's even better, because how could you talk without tongue? How could you have tongue without body? Anyway, so we'll do the prayers to get started. And as I mentioned, due to time constraint, we won't have the actual separate meditation this morning. We'll go straight after the prayers to the talk. So let's do the refuge prayers. Thank you very much for the benefit of all. Think and include everyone who is not able to realize emptiness of self. There's so much in the body, so much of the body, so much not getting the body, or losing the body, or attached to the body, who are still stuck in the world of physicality. So we do these prayers. Oh, yenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Ajara Vyada Ladama Vavacha Ajivandala Ajara Vadavadave Endabo Adama Zanga Ajara Vijaladama Bhavaja Ajivandala Ajara Vadavadave Endabo Adama Zanga Ajara Vijaladama Bhavaja Ajivandala Ajara Vadavadave Endabo Dharma Sangha Ajara Vijaladama Bhavaja Ajivandala Ajara Vadavadave. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from happiness that know no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and those never. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from happiness that know no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and those never. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and those never. God to the intelligence and bread position of where the Yajanda Dharma Agrela Ekam Vehicles. Thank you very much, everyone. Please make sure that you are going to do something with your body in the session today, because we're going to talk about the body. I'm sure you can't control it staying strong or healthy or not hungry or not tired. You're always you're always bodying, aren't you? You're always bodying. So first, can you please touch your one of the two hands on the top of your crown? Yes, very good. Okay. And maybe with the other hand touch one of the toes, big toes. One of the big toes. Okay, good. That's good. So we all have some range of knowing where our body starts, because both of our hands can reach to both extremes, the topmost and lowestmost. I was wondering whether you can do the other way around. Stretch the right hand and try to touch the left hand on tip of the right hand by the left. Can you do that? Can you do that? You can't quite touch the left hand when you stretch the right, yes. And same goes with that. But if you bow down, you can probably touch your forehead on the toes, or vice versa. But there are some people who can put their feet behind the neck and do all kinds of gymnastic, acrobatic activities with the body. Topic of today is Buddhist physical culture, if there is one. If there isn't one, why there is not one? If it is there, why it seems so neglected? But in spite of teaching, why we are, even as a devoted Buddhist, so attached to our body, and why, no matter what we are trying to do, still uncontrollably, that our body is always failing to stay strong, in one piece, or healthy, or ability to do the things it used to do. I have been pondering on this topic because in the Buddhist world, how is body regarded as a conventional practice, as a monastic practitioner, as well as a Vajrayana practitioner, as well as Zen practitioners, and not to mention devoted lay Buddhist practitioners. What they do with the body, that they are actually doing something healthy or strong or so forth. Because we live in a very, very physical, culture-orientated world, particularly in this modern world. If you look at everybody's doing something with their body, if not several times a day, several times a week, they always have some routine, exercise, yoga, Pilates, running, jogging, martial arts, or these are the sort of lot of people doing it. And in the Buddhist, among the Buddhist monastics, if you look at what they're doing with the body, they're neglecting the body. They're completely neglecting the body and of its culture. And as a result of that, many have no idea of the body and its importance, because the teachings seem to say the body is impure, it is transient, it is a bag of filth, and so on. So the teachings, the treatment of the body is one of contempt. This is not without purpose. Teaching talks the human body as unpleasant and a bag of suffering and a nest of illness and cause of all suffering, the skandha mara, the aggregate of mara, mainly because we are always desiring body, We are also trying to desire to stay healthy and strong, but nevertheless teaching almost discourages from, in the conventional Theravada teaching, there's an incredible contempt to the body in order to induce revulsion and detachment from the body. And to so much so, if you're a very sincere practitioner, you should basically go with one meal a day and just strenuously put the body into practice rather than looking after of its strength, fitness, health, and so on. So the teaching is pretty, and the conventional sutric teachings, if you say sutric teaching, is the exoteric teaching, monastic teachings. And if you look at the Buddhist monasteries, there's very, very little physical exercises of any kind. If there are, maybe walking meditation, maybe they're sitting, and maybe they're doing prostrations at the least. But beyond that, to do with anything with the body is almost treated with contempt. So we could basically say, in comparison to the modern physical culture, we don't have a physical culture, Buddhist physical culture. Why? Because they regard the body as a cause of problem, and it actually creates many problems because we are enslaved by the body, so much so that our attachment to the body, not only to our body, to someone else, whether it's our children or mother or father or anyone when we attach to, when their body is not holding together, showing sign of old age and becoming decrepit and sick, we are depressed. We are not accepting the nature of the body as transient. We are almost cringing and lamenting the state of the health or lack of it in the loved one's body, or that is of happening in your own body. So there's no doubt that teaching is true. The body is a constant cause and concern of our life, and it is inevitable. You cannot. Body is like a prison from which you will never shall be free. Body is like a guest who will never arrive. So it means it will never stay strong. So the body is basically doomed. So the teaching is in many ways true from that point of view. Having said that, average people live 60, 70, 80 years, and some do better than the others. If you look at the biographies of Buddhist lamas and monks, they live extremely short because they live in harsh conditions, and on top of that, they totally neglect the body. They hardly do any physical exercise. And you wouldn't believe their diet. If you look at the diet, they not only condemn the body, they condemn the body even more by eating the wrong stuff. They eat so much oily, fat, and food, and most recently more junks, and they still don't know that their health is completely dependent on what you eat and what you don't eat. So we don't have really any guidance how to look after the body in the teachings, because teaching is so one-sided in condemning the body, in discouraging attachment to the body, in treating it as a cause and nest of suffering. So that is one point of view. Not just point of view, it's a fact. And if you go to any temple or monastery, if they have any physical culture, exercise regimes for the young, for the old, for the sick, there's nothing. No one is doing anything about it. And But nevertheless, if you look at different Buddhist corners, Zen and have lots of I don't know about Zen, anything to do with Zen. And all these martial arts are Buddhist-inspired physical cultures. Buddhist-inspired physical cultures of what they call self-defense, whatever you call, from slow movements like Tai Chi. Of course, Tai Chi people may not give credit to Buddhism, but nevertheless, the grace and style and slowness of the movements of the body, that is not really active movement, but slow, does seem to have a Buddhist origin. You can see some of the monastics did find sitting very long very, very difficult. So the Zen and Northeastern Buddhist, Mahayana in particular, Mahayana Buddhists have definitely found bridge the gulf between negligence of the body from becoming too attached to the body. So they definitely develop form of a graceful movement and slowly become fast forwarded. So all the grace movement become fast forward, and therefore become very flighty, very fast movements of kick and jump and whatever the kung fu or various East Asian originated martial arts. They're almost treated as a number one sort of guards and who can protect the monarch from being attacked by enemies. So some of the ninja and martial arts practitioners of East Asia became most sought after bodyguards, bodyguards of the king and whoever the case might be. I haven't really looked at the history of the martial arts, but I definitely see there is a slow movement, slow kind of graceful movement. Tai Chi like slowly became martial arts. So it has become so much so that Kung Fu and various martial arts, though is promoted as self-defense, looks like more in breaking other people's jaws and and collarbones, if not of themselves. So I know many martial art people who have many broken bones because they were practicing self-defense. But it didn't protect the jaw, it didn't protect the wrist. Maybe it has protected the self. I don't know if there is a self that is not the body. But if you look at in the Theravadan monastery, there's hardly any physical culture. If there's a walking meditation, I don't think they will call it physical culture, but it probably is more like a small break from sitting very long, and so it's one way of relieving the stress and pain or numbness that is in sitting for a long period of time. But you can't say that sitting is not a Buddhist culture, Buddhist physical culture. It is a Buddhist culture. Sitting is a really important posture, and it probably is the only Buddhist or physical posture in which an enlightenment is guaranteed. So enlightenment is not achieved in the middle of flighty movement, fast jumps, and all kinds of postures and exercise. Enlightenment is actually achieved in the diamond posture, by the way. So don't quote me saying there is no Buddhist physical culture. Of course there is. The sitting diamond posture is the and only physical culture that's highly recommended. But if you look at the Vajrayana context, if the context of the Vajrayana has many. When the Vajrayana talks of body, it talks about two bodies: gross body and subtle body. Gross body, the word says it all. Yeah, the conventional teaching says gross body is gross. So gross that is full of pus and liquid and gas and lymph and blood and flesh and tendons and joints and intestine, whatnot. It is gross. So the gross body is gross body is so gross they think it's worthy of emptying it. So they usually try to become deities instead. Deities are very light and very petite and very slim and very weightless, and so they recommend you not to do gross body but do the light body, wisdom body. So all the Vajrayanis have amazing physical culture of being able to do light body. They have to do visualization of themselves as not only wisdom deity, but maybe sometimes as a couple of wisdom deity, husband and wife wisdom deities, as well as entourage of wisdom deities. Of course, there's no sign of gross body there. Gross body is dissolved as soon as early part of the sadhana at the beginning. If it is ever utilized, it's probably made to do few devotional activities. After that, it has been dissolved into emptiness. Who needs the gross body when you can swap it into body swap into wisdom bodies? So that's what, because the Vajrayanis can't handle the gross body. They also do not see the gross body as real self, and so there's no point doing any exercise with the gross body. But when they talk about the subtle body, and then they talk about the channels and the joints and winds and elements and subtle invisible syllables, and it talks about many other esoteric subjects. And when a person is still in the conventional gross body, even though they wanted to become light body and their meditation, but they still are stuck with the gross body. And then because the gross in Vajrayana, they don't talk the gross body as gross body. To disparage the gross body as gross and full of 32 impurity is a transgression in Vajrayana. In Vajrayana, it's a transgression to regard your body as impure. In Vajrayana, our body is regarded as a temple, as a mandala. Our body is, whether you like it or not, is the most precious thing that we have and we are. However, temporary and we may not have a full custody of it, because we don't know someone will snatch it away one day, and we have no control of it. But so long as we have the kind of a temporary title to hold this lease, it still is the most valuable lease we have, and we're paying like $400 rent for a week to park this body inside the house and the bedroom and whatever. So it's always your body is really costly. You go and stay in one night in a Stamford hotel, you will know how much the body is worth just to stay one night. So if you have the subtle body, you don't have to park the gross body. Of course, you can probably perch on the top of a leaf, you don't need any big rooms. You can basically park on the space. So the reason I'm here to talk about the subtle body is the subtle body is made out of our network of we can call it veins, or they are channels. They're channels. You wouldn't believe when you look at the physiology that our body is so delicate, miraculous an architecture, creation in the womb of mother. And only you are born out of wedlock of love. And your body is gift of incredible love of two people, sweat and tear of two people, generosity and unconditional generosity of two people have given you this body. In spite of what conventional teaching talks about, how about the body's danger and our attachment to them, nevertheless, it is this very vessel, the body, that we must look after and put to good use for however long we have the opportunity to use it as a rented vehicle. So therefore, teaching always talks that body as a rented vehicle, and very hard to attain this rent. You can't rent another body, you know. If you see your body is a little bit sort of, you really think it's a bit headed, and you look like wanting to move to another younger, stronger, more downsize your body maybe, downsize your body from 92 kilos to 45 kilos. You can't do it. People do all sorts of things. They do a lot of intermittent fasting and exercises, weight loss program. Still, the age of the body is same age. They may lose a couple of kilos here and there, but it's a bag of what it represents. So in Vajrayana tradition, the very incredible amount of Yantra yogas, of physical movements are there for people who are admitted into the mandala and are practitioners of the sadhanas. But these are not taught outside of the group, and even those who are supposed to be initiated and permitted to practice, most people don't do it. There's hardly anyone showing and doing it because they say it's secret. So actually the movement of the Yantra yogas are incredibly rich, and the conventional benefit of that is mainly for health, mainly for health. Various physical problems, from minor skin irritation to major cellular kind of chemical imbalances, and due to blood disorder or due to phlegm or due to bile or due to air or whatever the imbalances inside your body are, can be cured by doing these Yantra yoga exercises. But these Yantra yoga exercises are not taught. Firstly, I don't know how many of them really know and do, because they're only briefly mentioned here and there, but no real illustrated diagrams or practice are taught or even divulged. If there's some kind of tucked away somewhere, and never, it just, when they read something on it, they just read quickly and that's it, and never get taught. So I am here going about this coming Easter weekend to lead a retreat. And this retreat will be all about Yantra yoga. And this is for those people who have been initiated. And I'm of the opinion, by studying carefully the actual movements and the instructions and their purpose, the benefit, while the ultimate purpose is to loosen your channels and to unknot the knots in the channels, and to cause greater fluency and pliancy and malleability of your channels and veins and letters and fluids and air. But immediate conventional benefit for the practitioner is far too precious not to teach to people. And I'm asking why this has and is not taught. Because we can attract many more people to Dharma if we have some physical culture on top of the overemphasis of the mind culture. Why? Because most people have the body and the mind. And while they really are enticable by hearing about the importance of the physical, mental culture, emotion of attitudes and so on, but the mind and body and mind are mutually inclusive. You could not overemphasize mind and neglect the body. And that's exactly what's happening in Buddhism. You wouldn't believe how poor posture many of the senior monastics are, how much overweight and poor diet and a lack of exercise they all suffer. Because they are all renunciate. They renounce the body. They renounce the self, that if they look after the body, they have become materialistic, sort of thing. I think this teaching is factually true, but practically impractical. And it has almost, I can see in the monasteries, if these Yantra yoga exercises were taught, because they're all initiated anyway, so why aren't they doing even half an hour a day? No one is doing it. No one is teaching it. So they don't know. They don't find anybody who knows it. For instance. So I have therefore looked at how this can be changed. Not that I have any power to change, but at least it can be initiated. Majority of the Tibetan teachers in the West are just as conservative, if not over-conservative, as they always have been, But there have been one or two Tibetan teachers who have dared to teach Yantra Yoga as early as in the 60s and promoted it quite widely and seeing the very things I'm talking about. But that teacher is no longer with us. He passed away, and I could see why he was able to attract a reasonably handsome following, because he didn't conduct this kind of retreat quite often around the world. Buddhist-inspired physical activities, while the teaching is always there, but not neglect and disparage the physical culture. When I looked at these things, firstly in our own Tibetan and psychiatric, there's very few who does it and teaches it and knows it. What can you teach if you don't know? What can you teach if you don't do it? What can you teach if you have not done it yourself? No matter how beautifully written texts there are saying, if you do this, this will help you, this do this, but nobody teaches it. I fortunately was able to acquire a very old video recording of an old Lama in Tibet who came to Nepal in the 1990s and performed the movement in secret. In secret. And it's all captured in a very important video. And that video was all in VHS and have taken a while to find someone who can digitize it, and I succeeded. So of course it is not for this audience that I'm going to share or do much, but we will experiment this in the coming weekend Easter retreat, and of course then things may change from there. The reason for that is lots of the people without no exception has a physical body, and they all can do with at least good half an hour daily exercise, and walking, jogging, and doing intermittent fasting. Anyone can do with their mixed bag of benefit. But these Yantra Yoga movements that are really taught in some very sacred text, and they're all named after Indian Mahasiddhas, So And the names of the movements are all given after the teachers. They don't even have the proper names of the actual movements. They're named after the teachers. But when you look at it, of course, each of the movement can be named after the movement of the relevant thing, whether saluting the sun or whether yeah, whether you're twisting your back. I don't know. Whatever you have to do, you have to tell physically. And so therefore, it can be changed. It can be changed. But Tibetan Buddhism in general is very, very conservative. They still are inward-looking, and they're afraid of changing things in fear of losing their culture. They themselves don't do it at all. So there's no danger of losing by teaching it to others, because you hardly know what to teach. You don't even know how to do it. So what can you teach? Because you are not doing those exercises. You're not doing that. I remember when we were taught in fairly large group, they drew all the curtains, and they have to do it nighttime that nobody can see, that sort of thing. And we used to think, majority of people never did. No, most of the monks never performed the movement. They all sat there in the corner, giggle and watch and laugh, because one of the serious highest lamas, went pretty naked without much to wear on, because you have to be fairly bare with all your limbs to do the exercise, to do the rubbing and movement and jumping and whatnot. So most people thought, oh, why are we doing this in the monastery type of thing? So that's why. But now we are seeing shift of Tibetans. Because these things are not taught, they are learning Kung Fu, they are learning yoga, yeah, they're learning some martial arts and so on, because as if we don't have. But if you look at the yogas are only asanas. Asana means postures. Yogas are not so much movement, they're just changing postures and holding in that posture, but not really movement, and not related with the breathing, not related with the actual balance movement with the right to left, top to bottom, back to front, and so on. It's more like asanas, because Hatha yoga is all about asana. But all physical Yantra yoga, Yantra is magical. Yantra means magical. It's got a magical effect on your physical well-being, as well as emotional well-being, not to mention to your subtle body, not to mention unknotting, releasing a lot of tensions and stress in the subtle body. So this is why I was quite interested to make a inroad how to promote physical culture on top of people's spiritual culture. Of course, physical body is very special. Every single square inch of your body is very sacred, aren't it? It's very precious. We call it precious human rebirth. Now, one moment we say your body is very precious. Morally, it's very difficult to create karma to be reborn, and saying it's very special, it's rarest of the rarest. And another moment we're saying your body is a bag of filth. What the hell are the message talking about? So we need to boost our understanding that body is sacred and special and very precious, and its longevity and health and fitness totally depends to what you do with it and to it, so that you are eating and other habits do not destroy the body, particularly, and if you are a particularly Vajrayana practitioner, to hold the conventional views that body is impure, it's filthy, it's a transgression. Instead, if you say to somebody's body also, their body is a walking sort of cyst or something like that, it's such a denigration of the person, you know. Mahayana does not talk about that. They see the body for a male to see a body of a female, they say you should see her as your sister or mother or daughter. They don't say you should see that as a bag of pus and blood and not worthy of any attention. They say to respect that as your mother is older. If you're same age or similar as your sister and younger as your daughter, so Mahayanas actually promotes that your body that you see are precious and you should respect them, not abuse and harm them as objects of possession, attachment, nor treat the body with contempt and aversion. So what is the Buddhist teacher? Where does the Buddhist teacher got a little bit out of balance in the physical domain? You can really see the Buddhist views on body is extreme. One moment it treats the body of once and others as contempt. Another moment the body is very, very sacred, and your body is what we call in Vajrayana Vajra body. Your Vajra body, you should not even let puncture, put an injection to your body. You should not let the body have any cut and bruise. You should always protect it. So all the nerves and all your channels should be kept intact to secure the practice within. So from the Vajrayanist point of view, they have the Yantra Yoga, they have teachings on the subtle body, they have teachings on the chakras, energies, how to balance, and the Yantra Yoga in particular is very explicit teaching to have a physical culture, to do the practice with your body. Not overeat it, but eat healthy food, do a little bit of exercise, some massage as well, and then combine them with your actual formal practices. It is very obvious. In Vajrayana, body is the method. Body is the only thing you have, and you should therefore treat it as the most valuable vehicle, and do not let it neglected or ignored, let alone treat with contempt. And so you should use it. Now, but why aren't we doing that? Why isn't 30 people doing full of room doing various movements? Why is everybody either sitting or not anything? You know, although you may never attain enlightenment while doing Yantra Yoga, but because you have to be seated to attain enlightenment. Remember that. The idea of those movements is so that you can go and sit very well afterwards, so that you actually know how to handle those tensions and pockets of deposits of sadness and hurt that is in the body. When you loosen, you make your body malleable. Your channels become malleable. Your thoughts become malleable. Malleable means flexible. Right now, most people suffer from very rigid and stiff views and ideas, and that's in their body. You know, they only accept teaching right and wrong, white and black, but otherwise their views are very rigid. They still think I'm body, and they think that the other body is this. Their views are not quite supported by the teachings because they don't comprehend. They don't have merit to understand. But of course, if you look at the ultimate level, the body is empty. So why you have to tell it's dirty? You don't have to tell there's nothing there to be dirty or clean. You know, to say the body is dirty is not an ultimate teaching anyway. So why we have to be worried about that? We should rather treat the ultimate teaching says body is no self. The form is emptiness. And emptiness is form. So your body is not self, let alone the body of attachment as something truly existing. So emptiness actually penetrates through all the both grasping self or desiring the other. But yet we are on the plane, we are on the level where we are at. We are not quite realizing the body as emptiness. And we probably is still desiring body. And as a result of that, it is suffering, making our suffering persist. And instead of decreasing the suffering, it is persisting the suffering. So hence the conventional teaching saying the body is not what it appears, it's an illusion, it's a bubble, it is a mirage. It uses various analogy in order to induce detachment. But that doesn't mean that your health is illusion and don't practice preventative health. and we should still do the exercise, watch the diet, and do all of that. So therefore, I'm of the opinion that some of our East Asian Buddhists, in the form of various martial arts and most of them are martial arts. If you look at the martial arts, they all East Asia originated, and they all are Buddhist-inspired, fast-forward physical movements, and that used to be probably more slow motion, and Yantra yoga practices are actually mostly fast, quite fast, but it is not designed to attract an audience. Whereas all the martial arts, you have to wear a uniform, you have to have all the mirrors on all four sides of the room, and everybody doing. So it's become completely physical culture of the modern yoga and all that movement. You can see that how extreme the physical culture could stretch one from the one extreme to the another. So definitely there is a middle way how the Buddhist physical culture can be improved and moderated to the consumption of modern audience. Tibetan Buddhism, and Buddhism in particular, can attract a lot more people if it wasn't so negative about the body. And instead it tried to promote some physical activities together with the teachings, together with the practice and meditation, and combining them. So this is, I thought of talking on this topic today because that's exactly what I'm going to be doing next 4 or 5 days during Easter weekend with quite a few students for the first time. If these things become much more well developed as a material and practice, I'm sure it may become open to more people in the future. But I'm not saying it will, because it has to be tactfully presented and taught, particularly for the kind of people that is entitled to learn. So, having said that, we have to really revisit the lopsidedness of Buddhist physical culture. But how can we practice middle way? Middle way. With the exercises and combination with the sitting practices. Sure, lots of people do 3-step, 1 bow, like the Chinese Mahayanas do that, 3-step, 1 bow. And they actually, diet is vegetarian, so quite a lot of Chinese and Japanese Buddhists, they actually know the body quite well. In spite of the leaning onto the conventional teachings how to detach from the body, nevertheless, they keep fairly healthy and strong. But I'm sure everyone can learn from each other the pros and cons of certain physical exercise. Some people do so much physical exercise, they don't do any of the actual practices. Because physical exercise really makes you feel you did something. After you are sweating and after huffing and puffing 40 minutes, you actually feel you did something. I think that's the beauty of it. And you at least feel good, like. And that's the Yantra yoga effect. Whereas some of the sitting meditation practice doesn't have the immediate feeling that you did something. You just feel it's more like a burden. You have to do that again without any kind of a subtle understanding of that. So I think the balancing between mind and body, body-mind is very necessary in Buddhist culture. So that's why you can see there is a group of Tibetan Buddhist nuns in Kathmandu. They have completely taken up Kung Fu. So they call Kung Fu nuns. Of course, they learn Kung Fu from whoever teaches them. There's nothing wrong with it. Our Kung Fu teachers are our fellow Buddhists in China or Taiwan or wherever they come from. It's good. At least the nun and the teacher are always doing that. And because they all have a body, they ride bike, they go out, do many things. And they are quite a different scene among the Buddhist community. Because, and then, so maybe I know that some of the people are also learning yoga because, and if you go to the people who go to the yoga ashrams and do yoga weekend, they're all about physical asanas. Some of them teach very much similar to the breathing pranayamas, just exactly what the Tibetan Buddhist talks about. But Tibetan Buddhists think this is a true secret, they shouldn't be done, and so on. So this is what we're talking about. How can we actually consolidate the teachings that we have and bring it out and balance it so that all the taboos and all the code of secrets are not really sealed for wrong reasons, but actually teach together with those who are actually taught and given many empowerments of, so that they actually can do the practices. Of course, walking around Mount Kailash, walking around the stupa hundreds of times, thousands of times, that is also not so much done for physical culture. They're done mainly for the merit, spiritual merit there is in walking around the stupa, just because, not because you're walking around your lake or walking around your suburb is meritorious, because you're walking around a designated holy sacred spot. So it's more regarded as holiness of the object to which you're walking around rather than walking itself. So you can see even it's not a physical culture. It's like a spiritual culture with which people do 3-step, 1 bow, or doing prostrating many thousands of miles, are all spiritually orientated. There is no real emphasis of the physical. If people really put the thoughts and understanding with the movements of the posture, like even just doing the prostration carefully, those actually 12-step prostration, the whole prostration has 12 steps, Each of the 12 steps, starting with your joint hands and touching the crown and then touching on the forehead and throat and the heart, and then parting and sliding and going down and then sliding and getting up. All of those 12 steps of the prostrations can have a very strong spiritually orientated, at the same time very physically orientated culture of devotional practices. Those who know how to do the prostration, who do them with great mindfulness, as well as with the actual movement of the body properly. Quite a lot of time people aren't doing it for the physical purposes. They look at what they're wearing is very clumsy, and some of them even tie their robes between the two calves so the robes doesn't get in the way. You don't have to wear robes. You can wear a particular clothing that is appropriate to prostration. You don't have to be always in robe, because the robe is causing more rage than benefit sometimes. They call robe rage, not road rage, okay? So people doing prostration robe has a robe rage because they have to tie under their calves so that the robes doesn't get in the way when they do prostration, because they haven't promoted the physical culture in importance of it as a good exercise. So that shows that the Buddhism is a little bit anti-physical culture and pro-spiritual culture, and as a result of that, quite a lot of the practitioners' health is very poor and neglected. And this can be changed in the monasteries. Not only the lay people, but also its all new devotees. All the people who are interested in Tibetan Buddhist teachers, if each of these centers also have an actual Yantra Yoga, physical culture teaching practices, it definitely would attract at a number of adherents, and quality might be improved because it is balance between that. Otherwise, it is, if you can take it as a monastic, you do it. Otherwise, you got no chance type of attitudes, because people think only way you can do is being a monastic, and those who can do are very few and getting fewer and fewer. And so therefore there are no lay people treated with as an opportunity, because lay people are treated with contempt. Females are treated with contempt, and so on. So we need to completely level this caste system between mind and body, male and female, monastic and lay people, and try to consolidate the teaching and the body and the mind, and try to therefore improvisingly introduce innovative Buddhist physical culture. I think this is what may be needing to be brought out. Oh, so that's all I have to say. Thank you very much, everyone. And let's do a little prayer so that we might do a little bit of more stretching. You can still touch your hands on the top and touch your toes. Oh, that's good. So you haven't deteriorated too much in the last hour. But remember, the body can get stronger and more flexible if you keep doing that. But otherwise, you might not be able to touch tomorrow, because the body is shrinking, and it is decaying. But it can slow the decay and the shrinking if you stretch, if you make your mind and body more malleable, and your thought and attitudes towards people and yourself. There's a lot of body of thoughts that are not doing good in that body. So the body of thoughts need to change, and to warrant that, some of the physical movement might actually shake those strictures, those kind of tense and dense energy. So with this, we'll conclude here. Thank you. We'll do the dedication of merits. From the ocean of Erenda Maya Najij Whatever Mereda Havag Meo Begas Delavas to hold Maya Najij Courage Manjushin Yod Azama Dabada Delava following all the Hezamba I shall dedicate all the mere hexale body jeda teba verana yedanza where has been bomedinger freely without generation. Thank you.